So today we are going to be doing a little smart talking lights radio. There's a couple modifications I want to do to this. Also, I want to sort of repair it because it does have this weird tendency to kind of glitch out. So I'm thinking, you see right now it's still in the music mode and it's not working at all. So I think what this is one of the rotary switches that like sit down. I don't think it's making the correct contact on that. So I think we need to pull that apart and then kind of fix that. So with that, first thing we're always going to be doing is opening it up. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah. This is really nice circuitry right here. This is older style circuitry, so it's exactly what we want. It looks like this is an integrated circuit through here. I'm guessing that somewhere along these lines is where we are going to get our tempo tone control. We might also get looping glitches just because it is older technology. That would be exciting. But first though, let's go ahead and repair this point so where we're not having that weird contact. And then how I'm going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. So unfortunately this is not the type of switch I was thinking it was, but I don't think I have a replacement for that. We can at least touch up the soldering though. That might help it a tiny bit. But I mean, it's better on the side. It's not doing it anymore. So that's great. At least we sort of fixed it. We at least restored some functionality to it, and that's goal achieved. So now we're to the funner part. We're going to be circuit bending it. And I am going to turn the volume down on this just a tiny bit. So it sounded like the tone was already changing on something I was hitting. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and take this out just so I can have a little bit more room to mess around with the circuit board. Alright, so there's our integrated circuit. Very beautifully laid out right there. And I'm guessing this is our guy right here that's changing the tone. That's exactly it. So let's go ahead and tag onto that. I'm going to shut it off for a second, and then we're just going to go ahead and tag directly onto the resistor right here. I may want to go ahead and lay my wires first before soldering. So both of those are set. So I can't touch them together without it crashing. I can get very close. So we will need some type of resistor on it. And for that, we'll just throw one on there, see if it helps. It's a little too high. Alright, so I'm going to need more than that. So that's a 150K, so I'm going to go slightly above that. It doesn't help that I don't have my resistors labeled. Try this though. So what I'm trying to do here is, you heard that very high pitch thing that happened when I touched this together. There's a very, very thin line where sometimes you can actually get an instrument and then it's almost overwhelming the instrument's circuit board, and then it causes it to go in a frenzy. And the frenzy is very interesting because it's almost like a Ghost in the Machine type play. It's very strange, and I'm seeing if this has that. It's right on the borderline between a crash and the board being stable. It's very strange, but very cool when it happens. And that's it. There you go. So this is the board. I'm not sure is on the borderline between a crash and the board being stable. So right now, I'm not sure what's happened, but the instrument is almost processing sound, but it's not processing sound normally. So you get these really weird, eerie side effects off of it. And if I wanted to change this, I could simply overwhelm the board again. Hopefully it does something different. Might not, we'll see. Okay. So it almost seems like it just beeps. Sometimes you will get these random tone variations, almost like it's playing its own little orchestra, but it doesn't seem like this one does that too much. I'm kind of hopeful though, because it keeps doing those tones. I feel like it could possibly do it on different tones. See, it does this weird thing where when I touch it together, it drops tones and then raises them back up, almost like it's trying to restore stabilization to the circuit board. This is high risk, but we'll see if it pays off. All right, I do feel that we should go ahead and put that on as a type of glitch because I love those type of things. It is a very Ghost in the Machine thing, and sometimes you'll see, since we are circuit bending, we're not doing something that's completely stable, it's not completely static. So what's going to tend to happen is as this instrument ages, as new circuitry is put in it, and new electrodes, whatever, are ran through this, the instruments will change. So it could be very plausible in the future you see a Ghost in the Machine video with this playing its own little orchestra. It's not out of the question because they do tend to change quite a bit. And that's really exciting. So we are going to put this in as a glitch. And it's going to be real easy because we're just going to tack it right onto our tempo tone control, which we're currently trying to stabilize, but we'll get to that. All right, so that's fun. I'm going to go ahead and add the tempo tone control on it. Okay, now we do need a toggle switch added to this. I should have seen which one actually reacts to the ground, but totally slipped my mind. So let's figure that out now. And can we touch it to the ground? Yep, we're good. Alright, so let's add the ground wire on there. There's no real... I just prefer to do them on the circuit boards anymore. So that's exactly what I do here. I'm going to add it to the circuit board. See, the instrument's very mad right now. The smarter thing to do would be to turn the instrument off, but we're just going to add it. And that's our ground. Okay, we are going to do a switch on this because we do want that variability to be optional. I don't want it to be on there all the time. Because to me, circuit bending is more about adding functionality to the instrument as opposed to taking it away. And I realize a switch doesn't mean that the functionality, or it being non-switched, I guess would be more accurate, doesn't mean that the functionality was taken away, but it does to me mean that the variability is not optional. It's always the variable, but then you just have the option to take it back to a similar place where it's running functionally. And for me, I like to do the switch because that guarantees it's at the exact point. So for me, it just makes more sense to add a switch, and it takes a literal 2 minutes to do. So it's not bad at all. So there you go, there's one side. Okay, that's added in. Now we're going to put the potentiometer on. The switch variable is going to go in the middle. And it's not going to matter where the other two are too much. It's just going to affect which rotation. So as long as I have that variability, I'm fine. Now if you remember, we are going to have to put a resistor on the high end of this. I'm just going to be cutting the wire and adding that resistor in. This gives us a good option to kind of test it out. So right there. Alright, I'm going to turn this off. That is a good amount of play, so we're going to need a really high resistor on that. Okay. So you can kind of see it has that variability effect going on now. This is a different crash point, but still very interesting. Let's kind of return to our original and see what happens. So there you go. That seems to be it. But you can kind of hear how there's multiple tones that go on within that. Adds a very creepiness factor to it, and then for some reason, I guess because we're so used to hearing sounds that sound harmonic, and machines don't really have that. So you get these very creepy little tones that are just off-putting in a way. At least for us, they're off-putting. And that's always very interesting to see. I guess more correctly to hear. Now I did want to do something kind of fun with this. I wanted to add some photoresistors to this. Photoresistors are a little weird how they run, just because of how you have to mount them. But we are going to add photoresistors. I think it's kind of fun. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to base it off of this wire right here, because they should be bypassing and separate from this other system. However, they are going to be switched as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a wire. And I don't know how much length I'm going to need on these. I should probably start mounting this stuff so I can kind of get a feel for where everything's getting mounted. But right out the gate, I'm just going to go ahead and add this wire. And then we'll get stuff mounted. And I do plan on experimenting more with the integrated circuit on this. I didn't look up any other ones on YouTube, so I don't know what's possible with these things or what people have done with them. But it looks to me like we might be able to add a good more amount of stuff. As far as like the integrated circuit, I think we could really mess with that quite a bit. I don't know what the effects are going to be of that. I'm thinking probably loops on this, but we're just going to have to see. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start adding some stuff so we can kind of get a fixed idea of where everything's going to be situated on this. Everybody who is wearing headphones, this is a drill. It tends to be a good deal louder than most of the other stuff that happens in my videos. So you may take this opportunity to turn it down a bit. I'm going to try to be quiet with it though. All right. So when mounting this, I'm thinking up here. I mean, that's perfect. So I still need to put it out a little bit more. There we go. It's a little chaotic looking. That's okay. All right, that is super cool. So I'm gonna get this. That's mounted, and you can kind of see the front of it. Got a little messed up. I'm not too worried about it at all. I mean, we're burning into the casing to make something fit, so I'm not concerned. Also, I think what's really cool is our speaker is only like this portion of it. The way VTech made this makes the speaker look massive. So but in reality, we didn't, because the speaker is so small. So I'm not at all concerned about that. What I am going to do is I'm going to take a paint pen and I'm going to go ahead and start marking stuff just so we don't have to do it later. Alright, now it actually looks fun. I didn't think the burn looked bad, but I kind of wanted to add a weird effect to it anyway, so that works out. Okay. Go ahead and add a little bit more through here. Make it so where everything's not just sticking out and going to get pinched as soon as we add stuff to it. I think this is hitting. Alright, so something we did cause a hard crash. So let's hot glue some stuff. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and add the, I don't remember what these are called, photoresistors. So the photoresistors are a bit different how I personally like to mount them. So the way I like to mount mine is I like to have the actual photoresistor itself, which is this portion right here that's going to be sensing light. I like to have it on the outside of the instrument, like this entire deal on the outside of the instrument. I know they use some casings, or there's casings available on Amazon and other places that you can put the photoresistor inside. I'm just not a fan. I don't know. I've used them before, but for me, it's just easier. I'm going to be mounting something on the outside, so I'm just going to go ahead and mount the resistor itself on the outside. I don't have an issue with it. I think it adds a really cool kind of retro-ish look to it, kind of like an old school way. So I'm going to stick with that. But with these, what I like to do is I like to take the photoresistor, if I can find one. Okay. And I'm just going to put it, because we're going to be pushing the legs through the instrument itself. So I'm going to put the photoresistor like right here. And then I'm going to put a paint pen. And I'm just going to mark where the legs are. So as long as I can get the legs through, I get a little bit of a spider bite drill through, I can put the legs in and then solder onto the legs. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And it works for me. So there you go. You can see that it is a tiny, tiny hole there. Just two right in a row. And then I'm going to take the photoresistors. And then they go on that side. I'm going to put them right through the hole there. And once I get them through, I'm going to push down, and that's going to keep it in there for the time being. Now we are going to end up putting two of these legs together. As far as different photoresistors, these are going together. And then we're going to run a switch in between them. So instead of risking that, I'm going to remeasure it again. Okay. And our switch is going to go on this, because we are making the photoresistors switched. And I can shorten this wire a lot, because we're just putting the switch right here. I'm trying something kind of cool with this. So with these legs touching, one side is going to need to be mounted to the switch. So I'm going to try to go ahead and add this. See if we can just pull this up there and away. Maybe pull this down. All right, that should work. Hot glue some of this stuff so it doesn't come out. So now our photo resistors are in there. That. So that looks great. I'm really happy with that. So this is going to be kind of a tricky solder, but I'm going to go ahead and try it. We're going to be soldering into this point on the potentiometer and that point on the potentiometer, which is our positive and our negative. So we're going to try it. I think the worst thing that's going to happen is we might end up burning another wire and have to replace it, but we'll see. I'm going to turn it off for the time being. All right, that should have worked. All right. That should be good. These are a little bit harder to test out than most other things you're going to install without having like a flashlight or something of that nature to shine in it. But let's try it out. So they definitely work. All right, so for this, I'm definitely going to turn off the circuit just so I don't fry anything. All right, it looks like it's just an overdrive, kind of like our other one. But it is slightly different because it's LED activated. So we're going to add it just like the other one. We are going to add a button on it. Okay, so that one's added too. What we did was we added the LED directly onto the button. And now it's the same effect. Internal, and then the button itself as the only external thing outside of this. Instrument approved. Good. All right, cool. So that is also set up. So we have 2 glitch switches on this. I think our battery came out. Yep. So this is really coming together. We still do need to find the LED to fit in here to actually give us that weird tentacle LED look. Okay. I almost feel like we should add a switch on this just in case there are any weird effects that happen with this. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to add another switch. Just in case there's any unforeseen things that are happening with this LED, we can always just trigger those off later on in the process. There we go. All right, so this should give us the ability to kind of play with the photoresistors a little bit more. Let me cut the ends off of here. All right, so that's pretty fun. Okay, so with that, we just have one more thing to do. We are going to be adding the Pro Sound. And then once the Pro Sound's added, we are good to go. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to track back to exactly where the speaker is. And that's right here. So I just need to get the speaker hot glue off here. Pull that, because we're adding directly to the speaker. And what we can do is we can follow the circuit and get a little bit before the speaker, which it looks like right here. And if you wanted, you can track a little bit more, but it looks like it's a transistor we'd be wiring onto. This thing prior to that transistor. So I'm going to add a little bit of solder to this. And then we're going to follow this out. So the iron's not soldering super well since I did have to reshape plastic with it. It's not really doing too well. So I for sure would not recommend that, but you know, when you're in a tight pinch, it could work. All right, so I went ahead and added both of those, and we're just gonna add the wires onto that. There we go. Okay, so we added this, which is kind of reminiscent of the Wiggles guitar that I covered that Iowan Chef originally did. And that's to kind of mess with the photoresistors, but we have photoresistors that are light sensitive and will control the tone and tempo based on the light around the instrument. And then we have our normal tempo tone control. Then we have this other one. You can kind of hear it's adding a little bit of treble to the actual sound. But then randomly it was just hitting and causing a lot of chaos. But a lot of fun. Hello everyone. So part 2 of the VTech Little Smart Talking Lights. If you skipped here, I'll just do a quick recap of what we have. So on this we have our tempo tone control. We have our tempo tone control photoresistors, which we also added a light on here which has its own on and off switch that we can kind of play around with. Then we have this button right here which pushes the instrument just a little bit above what it can take as far as shorting out the actual speed resistor on this, which can cause some really funky different stuff, but it's really cool and it can add a kind of chaotic element to it. So I'm going to go ahead and test out a couple of these things, kind of show you where we're at. So first off, the photoresistor, we have this on and off switch that kicks that light on, turn on our photoresistors. It's probably really light in here, so there's that. Then we have our actual tempo tone control. And then we have this switch right here, which may or may not get us any results right now. So there you go. Now the instrument's running a weird little program that seems to just be beeping. It kind of reminds me of submarine beep. Very cool though. So this is definitely like a ghost in the machine type moment. Now if you're wondering what this wire is right here, this is our Pro Sound. Now before adding our Pro Sound, I do want to do something. I got these LEDs in, and these are slow fading LEDs. These are my favorite LEDs to put on stuff. You probably realize that if you've seen any of my videos or instruments. They always have color changing LEDs on them. So I really want to hook some of these up and just kind of poke around, see what we can do with these. I'm going to go ahead and press this again, see what happens. So interestingly, it seems to be hitting that tone, but if you heard, it almost goes on a different track when you overload it again. So very interesting. Press that. Okay. So with this, I'm just going to poke around with this LED. We're going to see if we can find anything kind of fun with this. So as you've probably seen, there are a lot of different places that actually activate this LED. But the one I particularly like because it actually makes sound is this one right here. So we're just plugging directly into the speaker, and then we're going a little bit above here. Let me try that again. So every time the LED shifts, it does that really high pitch kind of squealing. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to make this switched, and then I'm actually going to put 2 of those LEDs on here, and we're going to probably put them front facing. But I think it's a super cool thing to have on here. It's just nice to have that variability and that on a switch. So that's So now we are nearing the home stretch on this. We still have to add the Pro Sound. And for the Pro Sound, I'm really leaning towards a 1/4 jack on this. I want it to have the same output as a guitar. And my reasons for that will kind of become more apparent in the future, but I'm really leaning towards these 1/4 jacks on these instruments. So with that, we're going to try to add it. And I think our best plan of action would be to add it around here, but to actually add it in the back casing, because we have a really thick case on this. I think we should have no issues trying to add that back there. And another thing I want to do, just to kind of be goofy, is I do want to add something on this side to give it a little more pop, I guess you'd say. Just a little bit more oddness to it. And I'm heating up the hot glue gun to actually place these LEDs and everything that we've added onto this. But another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drill into the side here. And before I add the 1/4 jack, I'm going to try to add something else that is a little different.